Hi everyone, it's Wendy here. Welcome back to another What I Eat in a Day video. This morning I'm starting out with some very gentle yoga. In my last What I Eat in a Day video, I talked about how I had not been as consistent with yoga and wanted to start doing it more regularly again. Well, the universe had different plans for me. In that video, I also talked about how I was having an elbow issue, and it turns out I probably have ulnar nerve entrapment. It wasn't getting better on its own, and in fact seemed to be getting worse, so my doctors recommended physical therapy, which I start next week. In the meantime, I'm supposed to avoid activities that involve putting pressure on it or fully bending my elbow, like a push-up. So that rules out many of the yoga poses that I regularly do. At first, I was inclined to completely stop doing yoga for a while, but after moping about it for a little bit and feeling sorry for myself that I couldn't do what I wanted, I realized that just because I can't do every pose I would normally do doesn't mean I can't do anything. So I've been trying to do as much hands-free yoga as I can, and as you can see from what I'm doing here, there's quite a lot of yoga you can do without those things. It's okay to be frustrated when you have setbacks, and I think it's good to allow yourself to be sad about it. But then the key is to move on and focus on what you can control. Along with my yoga, I've also been using these therapy balls, which are supposed to help hydrate fascia and can in turn reduce aches and pains. I don't know if this has been helping with my nerve issue at all, but it definitely helps to relieve some of the stress and tension that I generally hold in my neck and shoulders. So after I finish up with this, I'll get my breakfast ready. I actually have a slightly different breakfast from my usual. I'm still having a smoothie and oats, it's just not my usual green smoothie and blueberry oatmeal. I've been doing a lot of cauliflower smoothies lately. I love it because cauliflower lasts longer than leafy greens, so especially in the winter time when some veggies aren't quite as fresh, it's nice to be able to keep cauliflower on hand for my smoothies. And I love to do all different kinds of fruit with cauliflower, but today I've got this cherry berry blend. And even though the cherries should be pitted, every once in a while you'll find a frozen cherry with a pit. So I like to slice each one in half just to be sure, because I don't want to ruin my blender's blades. I also throw a little bit of banana in there. I usually do about 6 or 7 ounces of cauliflower and 6 or 7 ounces of fruit. Then I use a little less than 2 cups of water, and I've got my usual mix of add-ins, including amla, ginger, turmeric, dulse, and black pepper. With the mixed berries, this smoothie blends into a really pretty purple color. Along with that, I've got my baked apple oatmeal. I made this recently for an Aldi grocery haul and meal prep video. I'm not sure which video I'll have done first, but if the meal prep is done, I'll link that for you here. If it's not, stay tuned and it'll be coming soon. Baked oatmeal is another great way to batch prep your breakfast, and you can eat it each day cold or warmed up. So after breakfast, I usually start work, but right now I'm able to work an adjusted schedule because I work for a mortgage company, and this time of year, business tends to be a little slower. So I don't have to start work as early, and that gives me a little extra time to get some other stuff done before I start. This morning I got a little bit of video editing done, but then it was time to start work. When I was at the doctor the other day for my pinched nerve, one of the exercises she gave me to do until I go to see the actual physical therapist was just to squeeze a grip ball. So I grabbed one of those little stress balls. I'm going to try to use it periodically throughout the day while I'm reading emails. I actually have multiple stress balls that I've accumulated over the years, and I keep them at my desk anyway, but I never use them. I do get pretty stressed out at work because it's a pretty fast-paced job, so I often have tension in my shoulders all day at work. So I'm sure that has contributed to my pinched nerve, and maybe the stress ball will help. Then, after a few hours of work, I'll grab my lunch. I already prepped most of it ahead of time so I could just grab it quickly on my lunch break. I have some pre-cooked potatoes that I popped in the toaster oven. These take a little bit of time, so I put them in about a half hour before my lunch break to warm up while I continued working. And then I pulled the rest of it together after I clocked out. This is some tomatoes, onions, and garlic that I'm going to throw into a pan and heat up along with some leftover chickpeas, rice, and frozen spinach and corn. Once that's warmed up, I'm just topping it with some red wine vinegar and a za'atar spice blend, which is a Middle Eastern blend. I added about 1.5 teaspoons, and as soon as I threw it in there, it smelled so good. If you've never tried it, I highly recommend it. Then I also have some mixed fresh veggies here. I had the same salad yesterday, and I went ahead and made one for today as well. It has cucumbers, tomatoes, celery, carrots, bell peppers, and parsley. I'm topping that with a homemade salad dressing, which is basically my mom's balsamic vinaigrette recipe, although I don't actually follow the recipe. I just mix together a little bit of balsamic, lemon juice, water, stone ground mustard, and some spices. So here I'm plating up those beautiful potatoes, and I'm just going to eat those plain. Then I'll have that along with the za'atar chickpeas and rice that literally only took 10 minutes to make since I had everything all ready to go. Some people say eating this way is boring and doesn't have enough flavor, but I absolutely love my food, and I think it's more flavorful than it ever was before. Standard American cooking is way too salty for me now. And now that I don't use so much salt, I can actually taste the flavors of the foods and spices. It's the simplest meals like these that I get the most enjoyment out of now. After that, it was back to work, and in the afternoon, I took a 15-minute break to do a walking workout. I try to do something like this on most days to help break up the workday, but I've been going through periods where I miss out on it for a couple of days, and on those days, my body doesn't feel as good. That probably has contributed to my elbow problem too. I've really been wanting to increase the intensity of my workouts because for the last several years really, I haven't been pushing myself physically. But when you have any kind of injury, it's really easy to make excuses, and it can become a vicious cycle where you tell yourself you're just taking it easy because of the injury, but then you end up doing nothing at all, and the original problem gets worse. I know in the long run I'll feel better when I do some kind of exercise consistently. And even though it's not as intense as I've been wanting to do, walking workouts are one of the simplest and safest ways to move your body. So until I'm able to bump up the intensity, I'll stick with this low intensity workout as my elbow heals. Then today I'm going to my parents' house after work. Some of you may remember last year when I talked about how my dad had a stroke, so I was going over to help him out with his physical therapy every day. I made a What My Parents Eat in a Day video where I talked a little more about it, so I'll link to that in case you're interested. Anyway, my dad's doing pretty well, but I'm still going over there most days because they're my favorite people, and I like spending as much time as I possibly can with my parents. Tonight we're having some leftover black bean soup. This is based off a recipe my mom found a long time ago, but we've adjusted the original so many times that we've sort of created our own new recipe. I don't remember everything that's in it, but it has black beans, potatoes, onions, and a bunch of spices, and then it gets blended up after everything's cooked. It's one of our favorite soups lately, really flavorful and creamy, and it's nice with the really cold weather we've been having. Along with the soup, we're having my mom's homemade whole wheat bread and a salad. My mom preps these salads ahead of time and puts them in little containers. Yes, these are old deli meat containers. We haven't eaten meat in many years, but we always used to save these when we did because they're pretty convenient for storing things like this when we prep ahead. Then after dinner, we also had a little treat. The other day, I made up this fudgy brownie recipe. Of course, it's made with all whole food ingredients, and it turned out really tasty, so I'll maybe have to do a video for that. But that's about it for my day today. Lately, we've been watching Cheers together on the evenings that I come over, so after dinner we'll watch an episode or two and probably call it a day. So I'll sign off for now, and as always, thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you next time.